Hello, what's up guys, Almighty Anime here with another list of top 10 manhwa that are a must-read. Similar to my first one, the selections made on this list are from personal preference, and I'll be disclosing the genre, amount of chapters, and a short review on each manhwa. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and make sure to comment down below if you agree with some of the choices on this list. Now with that being said, let's get into the first one. Starting off with Gosu, which is an action-adventure martial arts manhwa with 230 chapters, which has been completed, meaning if you pick this up and read it, you'll be getting a full story without any wait for new chapters. The story follows a boy named Gang Yong, who is the disciple of Doko Yong, the greatest martial artist and the leader of the Pacheon clan. The boy is trained and is told about how the four disciples prior to him all betrayed Doko Yong, his master, and left him for dead, which results in Gang, the protagonist, taking it upon himself to avenge his master by hunting down and defeating the four other disciples. The series starts out very lighthearted as we are introduced to the setting and the characters, which involves a bit of comedy here and there, and overall a very positive atmosphere. But later in the series, the action really picks up and there are some awesome fight scenes accompanied with a neat and beautiful art style that really complements the combat displayed. What I really loved about Gosu is how surprisingly fast things can turn dark and grim as you delve deeper into the world of Murim. If you do read this, you'll be in there for a treat because this is a very well done action martial arts manhwa that without a doubt will blow you away. In summary, this manhwa has awesome fight scenes, a simple and easy plot to follow, and a very aesthetically pleasing art style. What more could you ask for? Next up is Hardcore Leveling Warrior, which was truly a fascinating manhwa to read. With the 317 chapters as a testament to the completion of the story, you'll find aspects of adventure, action, and fantasy here as the events take place in a video game. To be precise, a VR game called Lucid Dream, where our protagonist is an OP ranker who is the strongest player, but one day is suddenly killed by a mysterious entity, and as a death penalty, he drops all the way back to level 1, and the story begins as he tries to make his way back to the top. So, I'll just start off by saying this isn't for everyone. From what I can tell after reading the whole thing is that the storytelling is a mess, and it feels inconsistent. But that's further down the road if you read past season 1. Other than that, there is a lot of fighting with cool abilities and cool final form, and as a bonus there's comedy in certain fight scenes, which makes this manhwa sure to leave an impression. May it be for better or for worse, it's up to you after you read it. Give it a chance and see if this is for you and if you enjoy it, because like I said at the start, there are 317 chapters and it's finished, so you're getting a completed manhwa. In third is Fist Demon of Mount Hua, which is another action-adventure martial arts manhwa that boasts 109 or so chapters and is still ongoing. This one was a decent read as it follows Dam Ho, who was the sole survivor of his village after a raid from bandits, which led to him having a limp leg. He gets taken in by a sect after being saved from his village. He tries to learn martial arts against the wishes of others who tell him to stop and that he will never become a martial artist. He perseveres and tries his hardest despite his disability of his limp leg. The manhwa itself is a portrayal of how determined and strong-willed the protagonist is, and because of that, there are some emotional moments and downright pitiful scenes that make you feel bad for Dam Ho. I recommend this to anyone who just wants something good to read and isn't a carbon copy of some other plot. My only complaint is that the manhwa sort of gets stale due to the fact that the protagonist is just a walking villain killing machine that basically shows no emotion, but that's, like I said, further down into the chapters. But overall, this was just an excellent manhwa to read. In fourth is Legend of the Northern Blade, and this deserves its place among peak manhwa. I've seen a lot of people comment on forums saying how good it was, and friends were telling me to read it, so I finally had to find out for myself, and I regret not reading it sooner. The manhwa has 131 chapters as of now and takes on action, adventure, fantasy aspects, and it goes down the cultivation type power system. The story follows Muwon, a boy who is the sole heir of the Northern Heavenly Sect who was deemed as traitors, and as a result, the patriarch, Muwon's father, committed suicide in order to save him and the people of the sect. Now, without family or any allies, Muwon is kept under supervision and basically lives as an outcast who is hated by everyone due to being the son of a traitor. As a result, he secretly develops his skill and trains in order to exact revenge on those who forced his father's death. Now, everything from the art to the plot and the content within the chapters was absolutely fantastic, and it was an extremely fun read that I'll remember for sure. Read this if you have not, because you are missing out, trust me. When I say this is one of the best cultivation type stories that you can read as of now, I mean it. Halfway through the list we have Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, which for me is the series that got me into manhwa. Technically, Tower of God did, but by reading this, it got me interested in the genre even more and I became invested in it. This one has a special place in my heart, along with some other ones, because it was the first of its genre that I read and I got addicted to how fun reading manhwa were, and I couldn't gloss over how good this series was as well. The story is about Hyun Lee, who along with his grandmother are living in poverty, but rather than working every day to make ends meet, he tries a virtual game instead called Royal Road, where he attempts to make money. But unfortunately, ends up with the weak Sculptor class, but little does he know he was far from unfortunate. Going through it now and comparing it to works such as Solo Leveling and God of High School, it's nothing mind-blowing, but at the time I was absolutely stunned with the quality due to it being one of the first manhwa I've ever read. Give it a read and see how you find it. At least you can proudly say you have read Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, and anyone with manhwa knowledge can pat you on the back. Okay, in 6th place is Tales of Demons and Gods, and if you have visited any manga or manhwa sites, then you should have seen this one recommended to you on the front pages. Now, is it any good? You'll have to find out yourself within the first 10 or so chapters, because this one is really based on personal opinion. The protagonist is sent back 13 years in time after he, along with all of his friends and companions, died. Now, back in the past, he plans to become stronger and help those in the city as well in order to fend off an upcoming demon invasion that destroyed their city in the first place. Now, a lot of people will say they really enjoyed this, and a lot will say this is trash and boring. I'm in between both because I never really enjoyed the series past the beginning stages of it, because I felt as if the excitement just fell off and it wasted the potential to become something really good, far more than what it is now. However, amongst all the comics based on like wuxia and Asian fantasy, this manhwa has the best explanations for the power system and what's going on. But what made me dislike this was around the 300 or so chapter mark where things just became repetitive, and it's just as simple as that. This was all just my opinion though. Go find out for yourself and read some of the chapters and see if you enjoy this, because if it's your type of story and plot, then you will absolutely love this. Now in 7th is Tower of God, and I couldn't just not include this in a list because this was the very first manhwa / webtoon I have ever read, and I absolutely loved it. The story is about a boy named 25th Bomb, or just Bomb, who for the most of his life has lived underneath a giant tower with the only person accompanying him is a girl named Rachel, who Bomb sees as his savior and the most important person in his life. But when one day she suddenly enters the tower in order to reach the top, he becomes devastated and decides to follow her and enter as well. This series, along with God of High School and Solo Leveling to name a few, are basically the staple manhwa that when you mention the genre, these are some of the ones that are most likely mentioned, and for good reason. When I first started reading Tower of God, I was absolutely intrigued, and the series captivated me as it was the very first manhwa I ever read. The story, the characters, the setting, everything was so immaculate and well done down to the very last minute details. Call it a sense of bias, but please read this if you have not, because you are seriously missing out. To prove how well the series did, there is even an anime adaptation for it that you can go ahead and watch, with season 2 coming out soon. All it took was 2 chapters. 2 chapters and I was in for the rest of the 500 or so chapters. Following up after Tower of God is another banger of a manhwa called Noblesse, which is another must-read if you enjoy the action and supernatural genre. The manhwa is a long journey with 554 chapters and is completed, as the story follows Rai, a noble vampire that is awoken from his 820-year slumber as he tries to adapt to the modern times with the help of his assistant named Frankenstein. However, due to their past before Rai's slumber, issues appear that prevent them from living a normal life. Or as normal as a vampire's life can get, I assume. Now, I recommend this as a read if you're looking for a long and completed series, and if you don't mind repetition, because the layout of the series is very much a matter of encountering a strong enemy, and then via research the protagonist and his friends get stronger to fight them, and this happens over and over again. Besides all the shonen trope stuff, if you just read it, you'll find out for yourself whether or not you're interested in this, because the first half of the story does very well in keeping you entertained, but falls off towards the end. In 9th is Second Coming of Gluttony, and specifically talking about the manhwa and not the novel prior to it, which the manhwa was adapted from. It's definitely a very unique and well done story with a deep, intricate connection between the plot and the characters. The manhwa is about a man named Seol, who's a gambling addict, is scorned by his family, and is heavily in debt. But due to a dream he receives, he gets a glimpse of his true past and enters a world known as Lost Paradise, where he must rediscover clues and survive with fragments of memories from his dreams. Now, I loved reading this manhwa, and it really got me invested with the 100 or so chapters out as of now, as it really gets addicting, with almost every chapter ending in a cliffhanger, leaving you no choice but to go to the next chapter. Without taking into consideration the novel version of the manhwa, which is more detailed, the manhwa version that I am recommending feels rushed and lacking, but if you've not read the novel and just read the manhwa alone, then you're in for a fun read. Lastly, we have The Tutorial is Too Hard, and this one was another really good manhwa with a super easy to understand yet unique plot that has no lack of action and will definitely entertain you with its 90 chapters as of now. The story is based around a boy, or sorry if I say this wrong, a man named Lee Hojae, a pro gamer that received a mysterious message in front of him that invited him to a so-called quote-unquote tutorial world where different difficulties could be selected, and due to him being confident in himself, he chooses Hell Mode. Now he's trapped in a grueling and despairing tutorial world with a 0.01% survival rate and must survive and escape. The manhwa does really well, making the main character feel realistic as he adapts to his new environments, and portrays him as a realistic human being that feels true fear and isn't flashy or learns fast or any quirk like that. He's just a teen boy who chose the wrong difficulty and entered a fantasy world where he can die a painful and pitiful death if not careful. That's it for this list, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment down below your opinions on the choices in this list. This has been Almighty Anime. Till next time.